The phone should have been dead years ago. Its scratched body, faint cracks across the screen, and fading logo told the story of a device abandoned to time. Yet when Adil picked up his old Realme one, something inside him stirred. He hadn't touched it in half a decade. It was just lying in a drawer, beneath forgotten receipts and tangled wires, as if waiting. Phones were never designed to live this long. And certainly not to glow like this. The screen lit without being charged, a faint hum rattling through the metal casing. Adil frowned. He hadn't pressed any button, hadn't even held the power key. The display bloomed with light, white at first, then a strange deep blue he had never seen on any phone interface. He leaned closer, and the words etched across the glass felt impossibly wrong. System update detected. Temporal OS. Install now. He laughed under his breath, then stopped when the letters shifted, not as pixels but as if carved into reality itself. His engineer's mind scrambled for explanations. Faulty display, corrupted data, maybe some forgotten custom ROM from years ago. But nothing explained the humming sound or the faint ripple that passed through his desk like heat rising from asphalt. Adil tapped the screen without meaning to. The world blinked. For a heartbeat, everything in his room reversed. The clock on his wall ticked backward. A glass of water reassembled itself from shards he had broken last week. He jerked back, blinking hard, and in that same instant, everything returned to normal. His pulse hammered. His fingers trembled as the phone now showed a missed call notification. The number wasn't human. It read, +92-2099-infinity. His breath caught. He opened the call log. 1 second of audio existed, compressed and distorted. He tapped play. A voice, familiar and alien at once, hissed out, "Don't trust them. You must choose." Then static. Then silence. He nearly dropped the device. It couldn't be real. There had to be an explanation. He connected it to his laptop. Nothing registered. Not even a USB handshake. It was as though the Realme one existed outside conventional code. He searched forums, archives, even the company's old developer note. No mention of temporal OS. No firmware resembling what he had seen. His rational mind screamed hoax, hallucination, maybe even malware cleverly disguised. But then the glitches began. The lights flickered in patterns when he held the phone. His calendar app filled with dates centuries in the future. Weather forecasts predicted solar flares for years yet to come. Photographs taken with the camera displayed landscapes of cities that didn't exist, towers of glass and steel, skies littered with alien ships, oceans split by machines like scars. Every time he closed the gallery, the images were gone. Every time he opened it again, new ones appeared. Adil tested methodically. He set the alarm for 1 minute later. The alarm rang before he set it. He wrote a text message to himself scheduled for tomorrow. It arrived instantly, time-stamped 24 hours ahead. His skin prickled with terror and awe. It wasn't just a phone. Somehow, impossibly, the Realme one had become a fracture in time itself. At night, he dreamt vividly, always the same place. Ruined cities, strange skies, a sense of urgency pressing into his bones. When he awoke, the phone glowed beside him, as though listening. He decided to push further. He wasn't a coward. Humanity didn't reach the stars by fearing the unknown. He navigated into the hidden menu that appeared only in the dark hours, options spiraling into symbols he couldn't read, yet his mind understood them. One stood out. Initiate temporal bridge. He hesitated. His chest tightened. What if this destroyed him? What if the universe corrected his interference? But another thought silenced his fear. What if this was meant for him? What if humanity's fate depended on this chance? He pressed it. The world dissolved. Not like a dream, not like a glitch. The air bent around him, pulling his body inside out. Colors bled across dimensions. Sounds echoed from centuries both past and unborn. He screamed without sound, a fragment caught between now and forever. The phone's vibration roared, shaking his bones like thunder under skin. Then, silence. When he opened his eyes, the air tasted different. Thick. Metallic. His room was gone. The city outside his window was gone. His entire world had been rewritten. He stood at the edge of a street that wasn't his own. Buildings stretched impossibly tall, scarred with claw-like burns. Hovercrafts drifted silently above, branded with symbols not of Earth. And in the distance, a colossal structure pierced the sky, pulsing with alien light. He stumbled, clutching the Realme one. It was still warm, screen glowing faintly. Across the cracked surface scrolled a message. Temporal jump successful. Year 2147. Status unknown. Adil swallowed hard. His knees weakened. Whatever had just happened wasn't simulation. It wasn't hallucination. The air, the smell, the distant mechanical roar, everything screamed reality. He was no longer in his own time. And he was not alone. A shadow moved across the ruins ahead. Not human. The phone vibrated once more. This time, no menu, no settings, just a single urgent line of text. They are coming. Run. And he did. Adil ran until his lungs seared. The streets were not streets at all but fractured slabs of black stone laced with glowing veins of blue light. Towering machines drifted silently above him, their edges sharp as razors, their surfaces rippling like liquid metal. They didn't move like drones or aircraft. They glided with eerie precision, scanning everything, as if the very air betrayed intruders. He ducked into the hollow of a collapsed wall, clutching the Realme one so tightly his knuckles ached. The phone buzzed again, the glow stuttering. He dared a glance upward. The sky wasn't the blue he remembered. It was a canvas smeared with metallic gray, carved by streaks of crimson lightning that never touched the ground. Something massive orbited above, a shape so large it eclipsed half the sky, its lights blinking like an artificial continent in the heavens. His gut clenched. This wasn't just the future. It was occupation. A whisper cut through the silence. Stay low. Adil froze. A human face emerged from the shadows, dirty, scarred, eyes burning with suspicion. A woman in tattered combat gear beckoned him sharply. He hesitated, but the vibration in his phone pulsed again, almost as if urging him to follow. He crawled after her, through debris, into a hidden shaft leading beneath the ruins. The air grew damp, the sound of machines above fading as they descended into darkness. Torches flickered to life, revealing more faces. Men and women, ragged but alive, each armed with weapons that looked patched together from scavenged alien scrap. They stared at Adil like he was a ghost. The woman who had led him finally spoke, voice rough but steady. "Where did you get that device?" Adil swallowed. "It's just an old phone." No, her eyes narrowed. "That's not a phone anymore. We've seen the energy signature before, only once. Decades ago when the resistance first began. But it vanished. And now you arrive out of nowhere, carrying it. Either you're with them or you're the miracle we've been waiting for." He wanted to deny it, to claim ignorance. But denial was pointless. The things he had seen already shredded any illusion of normality. "I didn't ask for this," he said quietly. "I pressed a button and I ended up here." The room grew tense. Whispers spread. Miracle. Curse. Betrayal. The woman silenced them with a raised hand. She looked back at him, eyes softer now, though hardened by years of survival. "Then maybe fate chose you. Listen carefully. This is Earth, but not the one you knew. The war came fast, silent, and merciless. Aliens we still don't fully understand. They don't breathe like us, don't think like us. They don't conquer for resources. They conquer to erase." And yet, her voice sharpened. "They fear unpredictability. They fear humans because we refuse to break." Adil tried to process it. Aliens. Erasure. Humanity holding on in the shadows. His chest tightened as the pieces fit together. So the phone. This Realme. Why is it important? Her expression darkened. Because their technology doesn't register it. Every piece of human tech is infected, catalogued, controlled. Even weapons we build are turned against us. But that, she pointed at the Realme one, still glowing faintly in his hand, that is invisible to them. An artifact too old, too obsolete, to fall under their surveillance. Yet somehow it connects to time itself. If it can bridge past and future, it could give us the only chance left. Change the story before it begins. The thought hit him like a tidal wave. His accident wasn't an accident. The phone wasn't just a relic. It was the seed of humanity's defiance. He looked around at the people gathered in that underground bunker, faces starved but determined, eyes haunted yet burning with a fire no empire could extinguish. This was humanity distilled. Fragile bodies, stubborn wills, unyielding souls. Before he could speak, a tremor shook the ground. Dust rained from the ceiling. The resistance members tensed, grabbing weapons. The woman cursed under her breath. They've detected something. They're coming. Panic rippled through the group. Adil felt his throat tighten. He hadn't been here an hour and already death loomed. But amid the chaos, the phone pulsed again, brighter now, casting eerie blue shadows across the bunker. Text scrolled across the cracked screen. Temporal resonance detected. Hostiles approaching. Activation possible. He showed it to the woman. Her jaw clenched. If you can use it to jump again, do it. Save yourself. But if you believe in what I've said, send a message back. Warn the past. Give humanity a chance before this nightmare begins. Her voice cracked on the last words, though her expression remained steel. Around them, alarms blared as resistance fighters scrambled. Adil's chest heaved with indecision. Every instinct screamed to run, to survive, to escape this nightmare. But then he looked again at these people, worn down, hunted, yet still refusing to surrender. And something inside him shifted. Humanity's strength had never been weapons or technology. It was defiance, the refusal to accept inevitability, the drive to try, even against impossible odds. He clutched the Realme one tighter. The screen shimmered, awaiting his choice. Stay and fight, jump and run, or reach through time and alter destiny. He felt sweat on his brow, fear clawing at his spine, but beneath it a spark burned. He was no soldier, no chosen savior. Just a man holding an outdated phone that should have been worthless. Yet here, in the shadow of extinction, that was enough to matter. The bunker shook violently. Cracks split the walls. From above, a metallic screech echoed, followed by the crash of alien machines breaching the surface. Resistance fighters raised weapons, shouts filling the chamber. The woman's gaze locked onto him, fierce, unblinking. Choose, Adil. Choose now. The phone vibrated one last time, the glow rising until it seared his vision. Across its screen scrolled a single line that wasn't from the resistance, wasn't from the aliens. It was from himself. Don't hesitate. Humanity survives because we act. The choice pressed down on him like gravity itself. And then the bunker ceiling exploded. The fracture spread like lightning, tearing the conduit apart, spilling torrents of light that rippled through the alien structure. Screams, both human and inhuman, mixed into a cacophony that shook the sky. Adil's vision blurred as the Realme one burned in his palm, the screen flooding with impossible symbols, voices clamoring from across centuries. He stood on the edge of two choices, time itself waiting for his verdict. His body trembled. Stabilize, and maybe the resistance would live another day. Send across time, and maybe none of this would exist at all. He thought of the woman fighting beside him, her face streaked with soot, her eyes blazing with defiance. He thought of the fighters who had welcomed him, starved but unbroken, risking their lives in a war they were never meant to win. And then he thought of the billions who might still be safe in his own time, blissfully unaware of the storm waiting to consume them. The aliens roared, their machines convulsing, some collapsing in spasms as the rift twisted their perfection into chaos. Resistance fighters pressed the attack, shouting in triumph as they pushed forward. For the first time, it felt like victory was possible. For the first time, the invincible faltered. Adil clenched his teeth. His heart screamed to save them. But his soul whispered the truth. Winning here was not enough. He pressed send across time. The Realme 1 exploded with light. Energy tore through him, through the battlefield, through every fiber of existence. He fell to his knees, screaming as his mind stretched across centuries. He saw fragments of futures unraveling, timelines fracturing into endless possibilities. In one, Earth was glassed into silence. In another, humans became refugees scattered across alien worlds. In another still, humanity rose like fire, burning across the stars. He reached out, desperate, and hurled the knowledge back into the past. Coordinates, warnings, weaknesses, the truth of the invaders and how to resist them. He carved it into history itself. The resistance fighters froze as the light engulfed them. Their faces softened, their outlines blurring. The woman looked at him, lips moving soundlessly as her form dissolved into brilliance. Adil wept, clutching the phone as everything he had come to know in this timeline unraveled. They weren't dying. They were being erased, undone by the rewriting of their story. Yet none of them resisted. They saluted him with their final breaths, vanishing with pride. The rift collapsed. Silence. Adil opened his eyes to find himself back in his own room, breath ragged, heart hammering. The clock ticked normally. The cracked glass of water still lay on the floor. Outside his window, the sky was clear, blue, unmarred by alien scars. For a long moment, he thought it had all been a dream. His trembling hands lowered to the desk where the Realme 1 rested. The glow was gone. It looked like an ordinary, obsolete phone again. Then the vibration returned, faint but steady. He lifted it. A single new notification blinked across the screen. Message sent. Await response. He exhaled shakily. Maybe the resistance had vanished, but their sacrifice had not been meaningless. Their struggle was now written into the past. Humanity would not walk blindly into extinction. Days passed. Adil carried the Realme everywhere, waiting. At first, nothing. No visions. No calls. Just silence. But then, one night, it buzzed awake. He snatched it up, breath caught. Across the screen appeared a message stamped with tomorrow's date. It was short, stark, and powerful. We received it. Preparations begun. You are not alone. His heart pounded. Somewhere out there, someone in another timeline, maybe even his own people in the near future, had heard his warning. Humanity wasn't waiting to be victims anymore. They were preparing. But the phone wasn't finished. It flickered again, showing flashes of images like a broken slideshow, warships being built in secret, scientists decoding alien algorithms, hidden bunkers alive with planning. A future different from the one he had witnessed. A future where humanity would meet the invaders not with fear, but with fire. The final image froze on the screen. A fleet of human ships, engines burning bright, surging toward the stars. And then words etched themselves beneath it. We remember. We fight. We win. Adil laughed through the tears burning his eyes. He wasn't a soldier, not a hero, just a man who pressed the wrong button on an old phone. Yet because of that, because of one human's stubborn refusal to surrender, everything had changed. That was what the invaders had never understood. Humanity's strength was never in its weapons or its numbers. It was in its will. Its refusal to die quietly. Its ability to rise from ashes with fists clenched and hearts unbroken. The phone dimmed, settling into silence once more. Adil placed it carefully on his desk, staring at the cracked screen as though it were a relic. Maybe it would never activate again. Maybe its work was finished. But that didn't matter. The future had been altered. Humanity had a fighting chance. He leaned back, exhaustion flooding him, but in that exhaustion was pride. Somewhere, across time, across universes, humanity was standing taller because he had dared. And if the aliens came, if their ships darkened the skies and their machines tried to erase Earth, they would find not a fragile species waiting to be conquered, but a storm waiting to break. For humanity, fragile though it was, had one truth carved into its soul: when the universe tried to silence them, Earth always said no. The silence after the collapse was almost unbearable. No alarms, no screams, no thunder of alien machinery. Just the steady thump of his own heart and the faint hum of the Realme one cooling in his grip. Adil lay sprawled on the floor of his room, staring at the ceiling as though it had betrayed him. It was all back. The clock ticking forward, the fan whirring overhead, the dull light of a peaceful city evening pressing in through his window. But his body remembered everything. The grit of the ruins under his boots, the faces of the resistance, the smell of smoke and steel, the moment they looked at him as if he were their last chance. He sat up, trembling. The phone lay on his desk, ordinary again. No glow, no strange menus, just a cracked, obsolete device from years ago. He almost wished it had shattered in the surge, because now it mocked him. If it stayed silent, it meant all he had seen was gone, erased by his choice. Maybe that timeline had never existed. Maybe those people had never lived. But he had lived it. He had seen them, heard them, felt their fire. Their memory burned in his chest like a brand. For 2 days nothing happened. He carried the phone everywhere, checking it compulsively, ignoring work, ignoring sleep. He scrolled through every setting, tapped every menu, searched again through forums and code archives, desperate for anything that explained it. Nothing. His body moved on autopilot while his mind replayed the war over and over. Until the third night. The phone buzzed once. Then again. He froze. The screen lit with faint blue, steady, unhurried, as if it had been waiting for him. A single notification appeared. Message received. His throat tightened. He opened it with shaking fingers. The words were plain, almost casual, but they cracked the weight inside him wide open. We are preparing. Your warning arrived. Humanity will not walk blind again. Adil exhaled so sharply it hurt. His vision blurred. Somewhere, somewhen, his sacrifice had reached them. He wasn't alone in carrying the burden anymore. The faces he had watched dissolve weren't gone in vain, they had been replaced by new ones, stronger ones, ready to fight on ground no longer tilted against them. The phone flickered again, not with text but with visions. Images poured across the screen like a broken slideshow, underground bunkers alive with life and light, engineers working furiously over blueprints, laboratories where human scientists cracked codes of alien design, warships taking shape in hidden shipyard. He saw children laughing in the shadows of steel, unafraid. He saw soldiers training, their eyes alight with defiance. And then, ships lifting into the sky, fleets not built for escape but for war. Humanity was no longer waiting to be crushed. Humanity was preparing to strike. The screen froze on one final vision, a human fleet stretching into the void, hundreds of vessels burning with engines that outshone the stars. Their hulls were crude compared to the alien crafts, rough edges and welded scars, but they carried something greater than symmetry or perfection. They carried will. Below the image, words carved themselves like fire. We remember. We fight. We win. The screen dimmed. The message lingered, glowing faintly in the dark. Adil pressed the phone to his chest, tears running freely now. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a savior. He was just a man who found an old device in a drawer. And yet, because of that, everything had changed. Humanity's story had bent, twisted away from inevitability. The war wasn't over. But now it had a new beginning. He stayed awake until dawn, staring at the cracked glass of the Realme one. Every so often it pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of something alive. Not constant, not predictable, but enough to remind him that the link remained open, that across time humanity was not fighting alone. He thought of the invaders, cold and flawless, moving like a machine across galaxies, erasing what they deemed weak. They had expected Earth to fold, to shatter quietly, to disappear. But what they had not calculated, what they could never calculate, was the one thing humanity had always held: defiance. It struck him then that this was why the Realme one mattered. Not because it was powerful, not because it was advanced, but because it was overlooked, forgotten, dismissed as useless. And that was humanity in its purest form, fragile, imperfect, underestimated. But every time the universe turned its gaze away, humanity grew sharper, bolder, more dangerous. That was the lesson of every age: underestimate humans and regret it. The phone vibrated once more, a final message flashing briefly before fading: "Stand ready." Adil closed his eyes. He didn't know when the invaders would come. Maybe years, maybe decades, but they would come. And when they did, they would find a species not waiting for mercy but waiting to fight, with teeth bared and fists clenched. He pictured Earth rising as one, ordinary men and women turning every scrap of forgotten metal, every relic of the past, every ounce of their stubborn spirit into weapons. He pictured the invaders watching in disbelief as a primitive species tore holes in their perfection. He laughed quietly, the sound ragged but real. The aliens thought they had mapped the galaxy. They thought they understood every variable. But they had never truly understood humanity. Humans were the error in the equation, the glitch in the system, the crack in the perfect wall. And cracks, once made, spread. As the first light of morning spilled across his desk, Adil placed the Realme one gently on the wood. It looked small, fragile, meaningless. But he knew better now. This was not just a phone. It was a reminder. A promise. A seed of rebellion planted across time. If anyone ever asked him what humanity's greatest weapon was, he would not say technology, or strength, or intelligence. He would say it was the simple, unshakable refusal to surrender. To keep standing when all logic demanded collapse. To whisper no in the face of annihilation and then shout it until the stars themselves trembled. The war had not begun, but in a way it had already been decided. Humanity would not go quietly. Humanity would not be erased. And when the skies burned with alien fire, Earth would answer with a single word carved into its soul since the beginning: no.